I'm starting you in the Gobert-guarded Kristaps Porzingis point of view for this video. But I'm not trying to strain my voice as much as my heart is watching these Wolves play. We got our second look at the Wolves defense without Jaden McDaniels, and predictably, that happened. Back-to-back nights. Wizards were also on a back-to-back, so don't feel too sorry for the Wolves going into this game. Although still missing, like I said, Jaden McDaniels, which is key, and J-Mac and Taurean Prince are huge losses for us as well. Just the steadying presences that actually help this team run efficiently, gone, and you see how we just collapse without them. 142 tonight, and the Wizards barely scored the last 5 minutes of the game, too. And it's a common thread of us going up against a team of all skilled spacing and shooting. When I knew our disruptor on defense of Jaden was out tonight, I'm like, it's going to be a disaster with all the spacing they have. I bet Porzingis has a big night. Guess what? He has a career high. He hits 3 threes in the Wizards' first 4 possessions. He'll have 6 threes in that first half. His last 3 of the half just doesn't even hit the net. It's just such a perfect make. He ends the game with 41. Almost all the first 30-some points from Porzingis coming on Gobert, who would be minus 28 in the first half. And this game started exactly as it did last night against the Warriors, because the Wizards had 26 points in the first 6 minutes of that game, meaning they were on pace for 52 in the first quarter. Wolves were turning it over like crazy, like we always do. The only thing that kept us kind of okay in the first half again is our bucket getters getting buckets. That's back-to-back great games out of Jalen Noel. He was scoring at will tonight and actually managed to get 1 more minute of playtime than Austin Rivers, who started and was worthless again. I don't know how someone that wasn't in the rotation is suddenly getting like the spotlight over Jalen, who it's like he can't prove himself no matter what he does. Finch just refuses to like give him a chance even when he's lighting it up. But yeah, that first half was all Edwards, D'Lo, and Noel just getting us some scoring and helping keep us not down by 40. But look at this screenshot I took of the stats in the first half. This is a great sum up of the issues this team is facing. Cat always in foul trouble, turning it over insane amounts. Everyone wants to talk about his assists being up a little bit. Yeah, he's okay at passing. He's always been capable of passing, but he turns it over constantly as well. And all of this is rubbing off on Anthony Edwards, who is turning into a turnover machine in his own right. Had 4 in that first half of the team's 11 in the half. And Gobert, when he has to guard shooting, is a liability. Just that's not different. It's not abagooing from anything we've seen in the playoffs the last several years. And when I would watch that Jazz team, I always wondered why they wouldn't pass Rudy the ball in really obvious situations too. It's because he contributes to a lot of turnovers that way. He just does not handle the ball well at all. Like wide open passes to him, he'll just drop. He'll see the ball coming towards him, not realize it's for him when it's very clear it is. Like he just screws up very simple things, and is one of the least coordinated athletes and professional basketball players I've ever seen. Like, he just gets away with it because of how massive and athletic he is, but he screws up everything. Just like Tim Connolly, who brought him in, and who also brought in Bryn Forbes, the most miserable player in the NBA, it seems. I would give him the award for consistently worst body language. Seems to be in a constant state of Bledsoe go. So we'll see if the tweet comes out too or not. And he's shooting 25% from 3 this year after being a career 41% shooter from 3. And I don't know if I can say I want him on the court to try to get out of that slump, because he doesn't provide much else. And it seems like he just drains the vibe and joy out of good or bad plays. You see him get a bucket or get to the free throw line, you're just like, oh my god, he sucks to watch. And a final note for the first half and the start of that game, and really just the start of our games in general, why are we not getting Ant involved? Like the first quarters, he barely touches the ball, regularly. And I've talked about Ant, how he goes supernova sometimes in a quarter. It's almost always the first quarter where he'll have those like 6 threes. And I can say we've only focused on getting him the ball and getting him looks probably in 1 game this year. I believe it was against the Spurs, where I think he had 5 or 6 first quarter threes. And I've said with Ant, once he gets cooking, he just doesn't really cool off for the most part. And he'll have those huge first quarters, so we really gotta emphasize that. How about start off Ant, our best player, best scorer, getting buckets to start the game so everyone has to worry about him the entire time, not just when we decide to get him involved. I lied. One more first half note. Porzingis had 29 points in 16 minutes that first half. So coming out of that abysmal 19-point deficit that they created in the first half, I saw the most effort that I've seen from the Wolves maybe all year in that first couple minutes. They go on a 10-0 run. They are extremely focused, alert, effortful, doing just everything. You saw it mostly from Cat and Ant. They were very aggressive. And I was happy to see it, but I'm like, how long is this going to last? And then the Wizards started to make some tough shots. And the Wizards are just, I think they're a good team. They've had a lot of health struggles to start this year. However, I think they're going to habagoo a lot of people with how good they are a little bit later if they keep their health. Because Porzingis is back to playing at a really high level. Kuzma is flourishing. Bradley Beal is a stud. And the people they picked up from Denver are great. Like, they have a lot of pieces where they could do some damage. And then they started making the tough shots, and they kept executing. We couldn't really get stops. And so even with this surge of intensity that we brought in the third quarter, we were only able to drop that deficit by 7 points. Also, Towns leaves that third quarter with a calf strain, so we'll have to see what he's going to be out for. And the fourth quarter was all Wizards. Like Anthony Edwards, Jalen Noel, they could just full-on sprint to try to get buckets and be really aggressive. That's one of my favorite things about Jalen Noel, by the way, is that he tries to go coast to coast constantly. He really puts pressure on the defense, and getting a rebound or getting an outlet, he does not stop unless you make him, which I love. The Wizards were just playing at such a high level. It was hard for the Wolves to catch up, and then they just kind of ran out of steam, and the Wizards just kept going until like 5 minutes left. They took out all their starters and then just like coasted to the end of the game. As one more good note from that game, Anthony Edwards had at least 4 dunks. He had a lot of dunks. He was being aggressive. I really loved seeing that. Gobert was even a lot better in that second half. He got scored on a lot by Porzingis still and wasn't stellar on defense. However, he was a lot more dominant on offense, getting a lot of dunks. And this team is all out of whack. I don't know where we go from here. It's hard to watch, hard to convince myself to watch. Guess that's just how it is when you're cursed by Connolly. Cursed by Connolly.